Well. I was having a conversation earlier today with somebody, and they were saying, I've got to have this a certain way. I've got to have that a certain way. They were saying this is how things need to be. That's how things need to be. And I was thinking to myself, man, if I could point my finger and make everything end up exactly how I would want it to be, that would be great. But then I try to think about all the things that happen in life where people put these boundaries up, or they put restrictions on things, or they have to have things a certain way in life, or they just don't feel complete. And I was talking to a girl, and at one point in time, she said, "How far away do you live?" I said, "I live, about 2 hours away." And she said, "Oh man, that's too far. I don't know if this conversation, man, I could be friends with you, but I could never be anything more than that." And I said, "Well, why is that?" And she says, "Well, because you just live too far away." I said, 2 hours is too far away? Oh yeah, I got to have somebody close. I got to be held when I need to be held, and I need to be talked to when I need to be talked to, and I need to be physically touched when I need to be physically touched, and I just need to have that person close by. And all I can think about is all the reasons in life to put that type of restriction on a situation. And we do this time and time again on multiple things in life. 2 hours is nothing to me. I mean, back years ago when I was engaged, I would drive almost 6 hours every single weekend to see my fiance. I would go see her, hang out with her the entire weekend, then turn around and come home. We did this for almost a year. The relationship was great. It wasn't restricted at all. She didn't have any kind of issue with trusting somebody throughout the week and then just meeting on the weekends. It wasn't that big of a deal. But I notice a lot of people in life have trust issues. They want somebody to be close because they confuse "I need you to be there for me" with I want to be able to control you. They confuse "I need to have this in my life because of X, Y, and Z" instead of, "You know what, this is a really, really good person for me, and whatever it takes to make this situation work, I'll do whatever it takes." Because they've built up this facade, this image of what they absolutely have to have in their life, when really they don't even know what they have to have in their life yet. She brought up a comment. She said, "My dad always told me, never settle for the minimum." Well, if you never settle for the minimum, why are you going to put certain boundaries up around your life so you never achieve anything more than what the minimum is? That's one of the things I never understood with people. I need you to be within a certain radius of my location. I need to have this specific type of food, and it has to be cooked this specific way, and it has to have this type of person preparing it. What if there's better? What if there's a more consistent way of doing it? What if there's a more efficient way of doing it? What if there's a more flavorful way of doing it? What if there's a better person that's a half hour further away? We don't take into account any of these things in life, and we put so many restrictions on ourselves and our life in general when it comes to things outside of food, but we won't restrict ourselves with food. We want all these different varieties of foods and things that destroy ourselves, our body, and we give ourselves this plethora of options to have all these different types of foods. But when it comes to things in our life, the creature comforts, the emotional, physical side of things, we want to restrict ourselves to the point to have it right then, right there, right when we want it, and it doesn't make sense. I was having a conversation, and I said, your father did not mean don't settle for the minimum with don't settle for your personal restricted choice of doing things. What he meant by that was don't settle for some scrub that's going to take money from you and live off you and leech off you for the rest of your life. What he meant was actually shoot for somebody that's a reputable man, that's going to be there for you and your family. It's going to help take care of you. You compliment him, him compliment you, and grow together. That's what he meant. He didn't mean find a guy that's 10 minutes down the block so you can call him up whenever you're feeling emotionally stressed or emotionally drained, and you just have to just dump everything on him every time it happens. That's not what he meant. Because big girls learn how to deal with those types of situations and don't need somebody there every second of the day for that to happen. I find that people that have been in relationships that have been emotionally and physically destroyed typically have these types of needs and wants in their life. And they're the ones that often have to have somebody right there immediately as soon as something happens. Is that a logical thing to have and want? Maybe to you it would be logical, but to the majority of people in life, that is not logic. You're not going to have you can't always have somebody there to hold your hand and walk you through every step of everything. At some point, just like with food, you have to take it upon yourself to say, look, I got to get control of this. I'm the one that has to make myself sometimes move outside of those restrictions and boundaries and actually learn that there's a little bit more to life. Look at people that live the small town life their whole entire life. They live in the same town, around the same people, the same friends, working the same job their whole entire life, and they never experience anything outside of that. Is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. By all means, if that's the life you want to live, live that life, but know that that's the life you want to live. There are a lot of people that go through life and they restrict themselves to this small boundary of physical and emotional stuff that they never get to experience anything outside of that. And then when they're 40 and 50 years old and they actually start taking time for themselves, they look back and they say, why didn't I ever take time to experience more in life? Why didn't I ever take that extra step? Why didn't I ever push the limits just a little bit more to figure things out? When I started talking to this person, about the restrictions that she was putting on her life, well, you're just a great guy, and I think you would be a perfect fit for me, but because you live 2 hours away, will never work, because you work an odd shift. I don't work an odd shift. I'm in a small town, with a small group of friends and a tight-knit family and stuff like that. You've got a big giant family and all kinds of friends all over the place and stuff like that. And it just seems like we're polar opposites. Have you ever tried something like that before? Have you ever stepped outside the box? Have you ever actually took a chance on somebody that has been a little bit more versed in life, that's been around a little bit? Is it scary to know that somebody might possibly know a little bit more than you? It's just like food. It applies with everything. A lot of people say, no, I'm not going to eat that. Well, why would you not eat that? I don't know. I just don't think I would eat that. Well, you don't think that you would eat that and like that, but why won't you try it? Well, just because I don't want to. Okay, well, that's kind of a lame excuse, but if that's the case, that's the case. We go through life putting up these boundaries and these restrictions and telling ourselves over and over again, no, that'll never work, but we don't give it a chance to see if it'll never work. It's just always an opinion. It's always based on, some kind of bad experience somewhere in life and putting up boundaries and restrictions, and then we see ourselves never getting any further, and then we make excuses why we're okay with staying in the same spot. I just don't understand these restrictions and boundaries. If I meet somebody, 2 hours away and I really like them, I'm going to make it work. It's a personal choice. If you want to make things like that work, you just make it work. If I find a food that really makes me feel good and it doesn't tear up my digestive system, regardless if it fits in a carnivore category or keto category or whatever, if I like it, I'm going to eat it. I'm not going to let other people stop me from doing that. That's not something that I'm going to do. That's my personal choice. It's not a restriction that I'm willing to put on myself if it's okay with my health and it doesn't cause any problems. But the typical person would look at that and say, well, that's not on a carnivore diet, I'm not going to eat that. That's not on a keto diet, I'm not going to eat that. That's not on this type of diet, I'm not going to eat that. Well, you don't know if it's on that type of diet. There's a lot of foods and stuff that people haven't tried that don't sit on these categories of what's on this diet. It was never a plan for it, but that doesn't mean that you can't put it in place if you want it in place and it agrees with you. I just think about restrictions and boundaries and limiting yourself in life in general, and there's people that go through their whole lives and they never even know what their full potential is because that's all they do is restrict, put boundaries up. They try to stay in this little safe, cushy spot because they're afraid of getting hurt. They're afraid of people taking advantage of them. They're afraid of their health going, one little bad thing happening and then it just roller coastering out of control. And I was trying to explain to this lady, like, look, I would love to be friends with you. That's not an issue. But I think the issue is the fact that you've been hurt, and you've been restricted to such a small group of people for so long. You don't know how to be with somebody that, like me, that's just outgoing, wanting to go travel and do all these other things and stuff like that. 2 hours is nothing for me to drive. No big deal. Get up earlier. Go to bed later or something. Whatever it may be. It's most of the time, if you want something to work, it can work. So I just, through talking to her, it sparked this conversation that I wanted to have about just how much we limit ourselves and we set these boundaries and stuff in life. Boundaries can be good, but there's a lot of restriction that we put on ourselves in life in general, and we never progress. Could you have met your husband or your wife or, your current job that you're in if you said, you know what, my job's got to be 20 minutes away. My job's got to be 15 minutes away. Could you have got the better paying job, the job that offers you more, your family more growth in the future and stuff like that? Maybe you personally could have, but do you think that's the case for everybody? Do you think that, somebody met the love of their life, and they spent years and years and years with them of being happy, and, they died old together and stuff like that? Do you think it all came from staying within a 15-minute radius of your home just because you feel comfortable? Do you think every single person's going to be on a carnivore or a keto diet or a paleo diet or something like that because that just makes them feel comfortable? No. People like to try different things. People like to do different things. People like to step outside those boundaries and see, have I healed? Has this diet helped me heal? Can I actually go back to eating regular food? I never, ever tell anybody, eat carnivore for the rest of your life. Eat carnivore until you can heal, and then see if you can add other things back in that make you happy. I'm not one of these carnivore keto people that tell people vegetables are bad for you and they're going to kill you. I'm one of them that tell people, please heal, monitor your progress, and then, yes, start adding other foods back in. Absolutely. I don't want you to go the rest of your life just eating saturated fats and butter and salt and all this other stuff. I want you to know what other food tastes like. I want you to know what you can have in your life. I don't want you to put those restrictions and those boundaries on yourself in your life. I want you to try these other foods if you feel like you've healed. You don't have to sit in a cult-like group or a category or just a global position of people or whatever. So it's just, no, that's not what it was. So Tiffany said, sounds like she's just not into you. She's just making excuses if you like someone. No, that's not what it was. I mean, I clearly got the vibe right away. I didn't even come to her. For one, she came to me talking to me, and it was a matter of, she was super into me, but then when she found out how far away I was, she was hesitant because she had been hurt by men that was further away so far in her life. So she actually thought that I would be that same type of guy being so far away. You can't monitor what's going on with that person. You cannot have control of their life. You can't see and figure out exactly what's up when you want to figure out exactly what's up. So it was much more than that. It wasn't that she wasn't into me. It's the fact that there's the lack of control is there, the lack of that boundary, the boundary that she didn't want to push outside of, she would have to push outside of. She didn't like driving far, and she liked staying close, local little places. Well, now she would have to drive almost 2 hours away to experience something different, and that's not normal to her. And because that's not normal to her, and that's because that's just how she lived her life, that was her preferences, she was making excuses in her life in general to why she wouldn't have to step outside of that. She even went as far as using her father as an scapegoat, saying that my father always said don't settle. Your father saying don't settle wasn't because he didn't want you to drive 2 hours away. It was because he wanted you to meet somebody that would complement your life, not retract from it. But I'm done talking about that. What I'm talking about now is I'm talking about food. It's the same way. We take and we restrict our lives to these diets, and we say, this is what I'm going to have for the rest of my life. I will be somewhat carnivore for the rest of my life, yes. But will I consistently eat carnivore for the rest of my life? No. I throw in periods now where I'll go for 2 or 3 months at a time, and I eat straight carnivore, no cheats, no nothing, and then I'll just have like a weekend of nothing but carbs, or maybe several days throughout the week where I do carbs fast, keto fast, carnivore carbs fast, keto fast, or something like that. And I'll do that for a week or two, and then I'll go right back to carnivore for 2 or 3 months. It's just, you play with it. You change things up. You figure out what works for you. I'm not one of these people that are so dogmatic to the point where I feel like everybody in the world needs to be on a carnivore diet. Everybody in the world needs to be on a vegan diet or a keto diet. I don't believe in all that nonsense. Um, what I want to, the message I want to get across to people is restriction and boundaries are what's going to make you not grow. These restrictions and boundaries that people put up, make sure you know the difference between a good boundary and restriction and a bad boundary and restriction. That goes with anything in life, even in your job. A lot of people restrict themselves to, I want to be here at this level in my job and I don't want to go any higher because I don't want any more responsibility. But you don't understand, when you get up to that next level of responsibility, now comes more pay, may come more benefits. The company may send you to more vacations, or send you away where you get to actually enjoy yourself, different places, different scenarios in life in general. But a lot of times we're afraid to take that extra step because we're afraid of what's going to happen when we take that extra step. So just be careful. Don't try to restrict yourself to such a little group of things in life. And maybe every once in a while, step outside the box and actually dip your toe in the water and see how it feels. See if you actually like what you're experiencing, and then move on from there. That's a good way to tell whether or not it'll work for you. But just to be closed-minded and shut the door and say, nope, I'm not going outside my box, I'm not doing anything outside of that, where are you going to go? Exactly. Metabolically flexible should be the goal for, I would think that should be the goal for most people. I've been talking a little bit lately about me trying different things that I normally wouldn't try, and realizing that my blood sugar doesn't get out of control anymore. I don't feel bad the next day. I've finally healed to the point where I can start adding other foods back into my diet, and I'm completely fine. I went as far as trying asparagus last week that always tore me up before, but now I ate some asparagus last week and I was completely fine. It didn't do anything digestively to me at all. It made no impact negatively on my life at all. And now I know that if I want to have, a meal that has asparagus and stuff in it, my body has healed enough now to where I can start taking some of these things back in, as to before I couldn't do that. It's just a matter of, I could never eat popcorn before, and I absolutely love popcorn. 4 weeks ago I went to the movie theater, and I had my first bucket of popcorn in like a year and a half since it last tore me up. I had a bucket of popcorn, the whole entire thing, no problem. By the end of the next day, I was already back into ketosis. Didn't tear me up at all, no digestive problems, no nothing. I couldn't do that before. So I know that I'm on the right track with the way I'm going, but putting up boundaries and restrictions is the very thing that holds us back. And then we feel like we have to stay in this club or this cult or this group of people, and we never progress. And I see the way this group of people is going right now, honestly, and I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of it. The carnivore community, each person's attacking each other. Each person is doing videos about each other and how bad they are. Each person has opinions about each other. That's why I have to step away from everybody and say, I'm not even going to go there right now. I just want to talk to you guys and share my life with you guys. And I was looking into interviews and possibly bringing people on the channel and stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to be part of this mess right now. We got Frank saying stuff about this person. We got Svetiage this morning or yesterday or something put out a video completely trashing Frank. And then somebody was saying something about Tristan this morning. Sverige was saying something about him as well. And then, my opinion on things. And I thought, you know what? I'm getting drawn into all this. I want to walk away from it. I don't want anything to do or say bad about anybody anymore. Let them go do their dog and pony show somewhere else. I'm done with it. I just want to focus on you guys, going to these farms, talking about my keto groups, doing my experiments and stuff. And that's where we're going to stay for right now. No more interviews, no more bringing vegans on or anything like that. If I see a vegan video that is trashing carnivore or keto, I'm going to bring something up about it. But when it comes to being dogmatic in my inner circle or something, I'm done with all that. I'm not interested at all in any of that anymore. I'm over it. I don't want to. And this is probably the last you're going to hear me talk about it, actually, right now. So I just wanted to share some stories with you guys, some of my opinions with you guys. There was a subscriber that left a comment on this channel that said, why are you tearing up Frank so much? The other day, I need to clarify this before I get off this video. The other day you posted Frank's Kickstarter link, but now today you're saying something bad about him. First of all, I support Frank in his matter to start his Kickstarter. I support Frank in his matter of teaching people education-wise. He's very good at all that. But I don't support Frank trashing other doctors and stuff like that in the community, and especially if they haven't done anything wrong. And I don't support Frank debating vegans and stuff like that, because it almost seems like it's for subscriber rating, because he's not very good at debating vegans, and it makes the carnivore community as a whole look trashy. Now, I spoke and said what I said because I support Frank and his Kickstarter and the education he puts out. I don't support anything else. That's why I put it up. That's the clarification people need, and that's it. I don't need to go any further than that, explain anything more than that. And now, from this point on, I will not bring anything up about the vegan community. Well, not the vegan community, but the carnivore or keto community. I'm done with that. I don't really care about it unless it's something that pops up on the news. I'm not going to be talking about any of the other vegan or not vegan, carnivore or keto YouTubers. I'm over all that. I'm tired of the fighting circle. It started about a year ago, and it kind of dwindled off and went away, and then it came back, and then it dwindled off and went away, and now it's back again, and I'm over it all. I just want to share my experiences with you guys. We have Howard Farms coming up. I'm going to go do a walkthrough on that. I want to, at some point over the next month or two, actually drive out towards Nebraska and show you guys some of the live footage of the damage and stuff that's happened out there, if I can get out that way. And then we've got some really big fasts coming up. This weekend, we're going to do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3-day fast. And then following it up right away, refeeding with butter, eggs, bacon, and salt for 5 days. That's it. Or potentially that's it. And there's a lot of people that are interested in that right now. So if any of you are willing to come on board with me with that, Friday, Saturday, Sunday fast, Monday through Friday, nothing but bacon, eggs, salt, butter, good times. You can throw some cheese on there if you want to, ain't a big deal. But just like what they would call a bacon or fat fast or something like that, except I don't like calling it that because that's not really what it is. Anyhow, that's it. That's my story. That's my video. No restrictions, no boundaries. See what you can do in life. Don't put yourself in a little circle unless you know absolutely you have to do that, or something that's going to save you. Leave your comments below. Let me know.